Thank you for the lessons because now I feel like I'm in a good spot to appreciate and discuss Jawan.
Jawan.
And welcome to Cinemondo with Kathy and Melanie from Pardazy Reviews. She has an incredible review channel. Be sure and watch it. She is the expert. I am learning. But this is the one movie. Usually, Melanie is suggesting I watch Shah Rukh Khan movies. We've been kind of going back in the past. You can find our reviews. It's been so fun. So now I feel like
on both of our channels, there's some going back to the classics. Yep.
That's right. We go back and so we go back and forth. So because I wanted to get familiar with SRK, and then now that this has come out, I was in good solid foundation of SRK by the point. So this point, I got to really appreciate what I was seeing.
Yeah.
So thank you for the lessons because now I feel like I'm in a good spot to appreciate and discuss Jawan.
And also we watched the film Mersal together, which is this director Atlee's one of his blockbuster films with Vijay. He's had, I think it's 3 collaborations with Vijay. And so I'm sure when the whole government hospital storyline started in Jawan, you're like, seen this
I know. I'm
before.
like, what are we doing? We're going back to a hospital?
At least there were no babies on garbage heaps. We didn't have to go through that again. Oh my
seriously,
God.
no terrible births. Oh my God. I know, seriously. But also that's another thing. Vijay Sethupathi, who I also become very familiar with because I loved him in Super Deluxe, and we talked about 96. We've been kind of pursuing.
And we watched Pizza together too. I think
Pizza. Oh my God, I love that. I tell people that they're like, I saw this great Indian horror film. Oh, what's it called? Pizza, and they go, right? I'm like, no, seriously. I know it sounds bad, but it's actually really good.
I mean, I just think everybody knows who Vijay Sethupathi is, and I had a longtime viewer who was like, he went to see Jawan this weekend on my recommendation, and then he sent me an email, and he's like, "Wow, this Vijay Sethupathi guy, this is my first time seeing him," and I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, let me tell you.
I mean, he's everywhere now. It seems like I know.
And you and I both know this is not even like his best thing, right? Like he was kind of. I felt like Vijay Sethupathi was dialing it back a little bit.
I was a little frustrated by how
who
little
is,
he was.
He's like, who is the star of the show? Shah Rukh is the star of the show. I'll just come over here and do my little craziness over here in my Santa beard.
Which I love that they made a joke out of it.
Yeah,
so funny.
So, I went to, it wasn't quite first day first show, but I was able to see this on IMAX on the first day it came in the US, and I put out a spoiler-free review, but literally Kathy told me she was watching, like literally I was biting my tongue like, oh no, I can't say that, nope, I can't talk about that, like I would just be like, it was so awesome, but
I know, and I wanted to share the excitement, but I didn't see it until third day first show. And because I was visiting my mother in Kentucky, and shockingly it was showing in Kentucky, and I was like,
listen,
wow.
Kathy Gibson runs a site called Access Bollywood, and she also kind of keeps up with box office numbers. The numbers for this movie, it opened on Thursday in the US. Okay, it opened to 827 screens in the US, which is not the biggest ever. Like Bahubali, the second film may have been more. I don't know. Okay, but it's up there, right?
Right. That's a lot.
It actually was the second highest film, at least in the US, box office of any film. Okay.
Right.
So, Barbie, some of the other big films are kind of dying down. We don't have, any big blockbusters coming out, and
only
American
The Nun.
cinema.
The Nun.
Only The Nun.
Can't beat horror.
Nun was number 1.
Unbelievable.
But this was number 2. So that is pretty incredible in the US too. It was made, I think the estimate, which they released an estimate on Sunday morning, was 7,500,000 box office for this weekend. Now, for an Indian film, for a foreign film, that's amazing.
Is this the first time an Indian film's been in the top 10 in the US?
No. Bahubali and I think RRR may have done that. So it is
in
not
the opening
the first
weekends.
I don't know about the opening weekends, but maybe. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Listen, I'm seeing Variety articles, right? Like
Yes,
Variety is covering this.
they're
So,
talking about it.
I mean,
It
it's Shah Rukh. Actually, Shah Rukh Khan is probably the most recognizable face of Bollywood outside India. He
yeah.
is the most well known across the
Mhm.
world. And he appeals to people like me. Like he was my entry. I
Yeah,
saw DDLJ, which you and I talked about.
yeah.
So Romney Bunny D Jody, which I still have yet to share with you. It's
That'll be
coming.
new, coming
That'll
soon.
be coming.
Coming
But
soon.
he is the one that made me fall in love with Bollywood. And
Yeah.
his movies play on German TV all the time. Like,
Mhm.
he has a huge number of German fans all across the world. So
Unbelievable.
it's not surprising, but let's think about what kind of a year Shah Rukh had. His
And it's not
son.
over yet.
Okay, it's not over yet. Okay, he had Kathy didn't have to live through the torture that I did, which was 4 years without a Shah Rukh Khan film. Oh my
Ugh,
god! Okay,
unbelievable.
he took this break after a couple of disappointing films. I think the last film in theaters was Zero, where he
Okay.
played a dwarf. Oh man, it was
That
not
doesn't
my
sound
favorite.
good.
It was not my favorite. It had some things, but it was yeah. And so he took a break, and he came back this year with such a bang. He had the cameo in Brahmastra, which was the best 10 minutes of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Then he had Patan this spring, which was amazing. And then now
Huge.
Jawan. But he also had all of this drama that his son, Arun, was arrested and held without bail for a month. And
Whoa.
there was a very political message to this film. Even the trailer
Yes.
was, if
Yeah.
you're going to mess with the son, deal with the father first.
Yeah.
Like that was, and that was stated, that line was stated over his wife's producer credit, Gauri
Yes.
Khan.
Yeah.
Like it was a statement right from the trailer. And I'm not saying that there's never been political statements in Bollywood films before. Of course there have, but
Yeah.
things have seemed to be tamped down. Tamil cinema is much more in your face with political
Yeah.
messages. Especially Atlee films,
Yeah.
and so that, like I said, that Mersal dealt with government hospitals and
Right.
scams of
Mhm.
for private doctors and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So they're much more in your face with that. So I wasn't surprised that Atlee would do a film with some political message, but to have at the end of the film, Shahrukh basically break the fourth wall
I love that.
and talk to the audience and
And it
say,
felt
"When
like
you."
America too. I mean, it didn't
Yeah.
even feel like it was necessarily
Oh,
just
right.
about India, because I was
No,
hearing it
you're
going,
right.
"Whoa."
It was
It
more
felt
wide
very
open.
profound when he did that. It felt like I'm talking
Yeah.
to you. Yeah, it was really good.
No, he kind of like then he sent Modi a tweet after the G20 summit. I'm like, yeah, like I don't know. I was like, couldn't you just not said anything? But okay, So I don't know what pressures the man is under. But yeah,
That's good.
my jaw was on the floor, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I could not believe what I was seeing in
It
this film as
was
far as the political message.
I thought it was very bold. They had a lot of bold comments in this movie about it, and that was one of them. I
Yeah.
mean, I liked how they were doing a lot of meta stuff, like even just talking about actors that were famous, like when he says, "Bring me Ali Abad." I thought that was a
Yeah.
great inside joke. And how, "Oh, too young?" Because everyone's always giving, SRK shit because he ends up co-starring with very much younger women. I thought
Yeah.
that was funny. He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, too young?" I thought that was a good joke. And then, and also I just saw that according to Monday that now Jawan is the biggest Monday collection of all time. And it beat KGF
Wow.
and Patan as big
Wow.
money makers for a Monday collection. So this
The
movie
word
cannot
of
be underestimated at all.
Yeah.
It's like you
word of
cannot.
mouth has been insane, right?
Yeah.
Like people, and also, I mean, you and I watch all different industries of films.
Mhm.
So some of the, let's call it the cinematic language, the
Yeah.
way the hero service, the slow-mo, whatever of Shah Rukh and
Mhm.
all of, I mean, he didn't just have one entry scene, he had multiple
I was gonna say,
entry scenes, right?
so many entry scenes, and it seemed like every time they changed the scene where he wasn't in it, you're expecting the next entry scene. They're not
You're
gonna just
like,
let him
what
walk in a
awesome,
room.
what awesome thing is going to happen next? And it just kept one-upping. So we're used to that from Southern films when the hero comes in and we get this big reveal and pause for the audience to go crazy. Okay, we expect that. And I suppose in some Hindi films you have that, but it kept coming and it kept coming. And this is a director that loves Shah Rukh. I think his wife is maybe a bigger fan.
I mean,
they asked to, can we do a story with you? And then the pitch was, it's going to be you and 5 women.
And you get to be 5 different time zones and 5 different characters. Technically 5. I love that because we got to, that was almost like a promo reel for an actor showing what he can do. He did 5 different versions of himself in that movie. That was crazy. Like,
and then Vijay Sethupathi, like I said, I think he was toned down. He approached Shah Rukh. Shah Rukh actually as a band now, he won't do any interviews with anybody right now.
Okay.
After what happened with his son. Okay. So no interviews.
Okay.
But his production company, Red Chilies Entertainment, put out one of those, here's the question, and he just gives the answer to the camera kind of a thing.
Predetermined. Okay? Yeah.
Right. So he was part of it and Vijay Sethupathi was part of it. Both of them were answering questions. And Vijay Sethupathi said they met in Melbourne, of all places.
Oh, okay.
And he approached Shah Rukh. He's like, would you let me be a villain in one of your films? Like, and I think Vijay Sethupathi is such a good choice for a villain because he's someone, in that video, he said, when I'm playing a villain, I'm the hero of my own story. And the hero of the movie is my villain.
That's right.
And that's exactly, that's exactly like you completely, because he just does it with this commitment. And but the opening sequence was so incredible with the whole bandages and all of that.
Yeah.
And what Shah Rukh said in this video is that when he talked to his kids about what kind of movie he should do, his kids were like, do an action movie, do a superhero movie.
It's like, I just did an action movie.
But if you think about that opening scene, he is like a superhero who rises from the dead.
That's right.
And has that whole look with the bandage, like he has the special costume or whatever. So that was for his little son, Abram, his third child, right? That's like he was the superhero. It was that kind of a entry and scene, right? Like of this, like, so he kind of, I like you said, I mean, I came out so completely satisfied because he gave me so many different, we have Shah Rukh with the cute kid. We have Shah Rukh sort of romancing 2 different women in flashbacks or whatever. We have action Shah Rukh. We have Silver Fox Shah Rukh. Like, we have
bald Shah Rukh. I think my favorite Shah Rukh in it was the bald Shah Rukh because when he's on that subway train, that was the most just entertaining, hilarious. Just, I feel like I haven't quite seen him like that before because he's supposed to be kind of evil, but he's on the right side of things. So he's doing these terrible things on the train that, I guess we could talk a little bit about spoilers, but
where everything's going to be spoilers here. Yeah.
I love where he ends up, to make his point, shoots a Muslim woman like in her full burqa and everyone's kind of like, oh, but nobody's super, because they address a lot of controversial things in this movie. I thought it was very bold and everybody's like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah.
And I love that she comes back to life. Like, oh my God. Because even that, I'm like, I just don't think Shah Rukh would do this. I'm thinking she's got to come back. Like I was thinking it's going to be one of his gang,
Yeah.
But my mom, I took my mom to see it. And this was her first Indian movie in the theater. She saw RR on Netflix, which is great, but not the same. So if you've never seen a SRK movie, there were, I think, half full. It was all Indian people, which I was impressed in Lexington that they would show up for that. And it was a Saturday, so it was third day. So who knows what it was the first day. And so we're in there and she didn't know what to expect, but she was all like, she was giggling, she was clapping, she was like, oh, like when she first sees him, she goes, oh, he's so handsome. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, he goes, I go, get used to it. You're gonna see a lot of it, So, but she loved it, and when the music was on, she was all like getting into it, So when we left, 2 Indian women were behind us, and they said, "So how did you like it?" And we're like, "Oh, it was great. We loved it." They're like, "Really? What? I'm like, yeah, I know. They go, but it was so bloody. I'm like, yeah, because we kind of like the more romantic ones with SRK in them. I go, those are good too. But so we just kind of chatted with them a little bit afterwards, but I thought it was really nice because I don't talk to people after movies. It was nice.
Yeah.
For some reason, this movie kind of makes people want to talk about with
Oh, yeah, I
whoever's
know. There's
closest.
just this
Like
buzz.
we're
There's this buzz in the lobby when you come
so
out of
funny.
this movie. You can
It
just
was
tell
so
when
funny.
something is a really good movie because they're just
Yeah.
everybody's
Everybody's all,
talking.
like I
Yeah.
know, and I when I took a bathroom break during the 10-second interval, and
Yeah.
so on the way back, there was a man who I saw booking it. He came out of the bathroom and ran full speed, and sure enough, it was for that movie because you're like all amped up. I gotta get back. No, who knows? Because
I know.
anything, there was so much going on in this movie that if you just missed
Yeah.
like 10 minutes, huge
Oh,
plot twists. Like
okay.
there were
The
so many plot twists.
pre-interval scene. Oh my
Oh,
God. Yeah, I also did
I
not
was like,
saw it
what?
on IMAX and they didn't do the intermission. I'm like, oh,
I know. I didn't go in either.
but I
10
wasn't
seconds.
gonna leave my seat
Yep.
because you're right, there was so many things happening.
So many.
So, and especially, post interval, I don't remember exactly when, but we had the whole flashback scene with Deepika.
I love that.
Like,
That was fantastic.
that is a movie star. When you can
That
be in
she
a
was
film for 15, whatever it
yeah.
was, 15, 20 minutes and make that much of an impact.
Yeah.
The scenes where I was getting teary was her with the little kid in the
Oh,
jail, and I'm like, oh my God.
yeah, she's
Okay,
telling
it
all this
was.
stuff, and you're realizing, oh, those are gonna be her last words to her child. Oh my
I
God.
know.
Oh, it
Oh,
was so bad. I know, it was so bad. So she was great. I was really sad to see her leave, even though technically she was in the past, so her storyline was kind of finished by the time we're getting to the main action of the film. So it kind of made sense. But that was all right. So
I mean,
that was the big
you
shocker.
saw you saw Om Shanti Om with me, so
Yes.
you had seen that was her debut
Right.
film, and she debuted with
So
Shah
good.
Rukh. So they
Yep.
have such this history
They
together
do.
that I feel like a lot of the audience is coming in, and it's like this instant
Yeah.
chemistry. I mean, they just really do have this chemistry. I don't know if he had quite as much with Nayantara, who's known. She plays like a cop, investigator, hostage negotiator. Like she's badass.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she had quite the same chemistry with. I'm just being honest. Like it's hard to compare with the whole Deepika sizzle
It
that
is.
is there. But anyway, I interrupted
That's
you. Go
true.
ahead.
Well, no, well, I mean, that makes sense. It's a good point because ultimately, like, she's his foil. Like, she's against him. She's trying to find him. She doesn't realize who he is. So ultimately, when they meet, cute,
Yeah.
where they're kind of being set up, she doesn't know that he's the man she's hunting. So in a way, that chemistry was kind of diffused because we knew that they were adversaries
Right.
technically, and he kept trying to find one. Well, I want to tell you. I don't know how I would react. I was trying to think, what would I think if someone I was dating or wanted to marry told me that? I think the wedding would be off for sure because then you'd be like, you lied
No.
big time.
Yeah. No. No.
And you're the
I
whole
don't think
point of my job right now is to track you down. Oh my God. So I love that. And then I think the big reveal of the fact that there is a father version of his main character blew me away. When his
Okay.
entrance was like so Jeff Bridges, so awesome. I loved how grizzled he looked and how like he was so different than any time I've seen. I was like, oh my God. When he comes with a big weird weapon and they show him, I'm like, wait, what? Like they
I
totally
saw a
surprised me.
tweet yesterday that perfectly encapsulates it because he is supposed to have been through all these things and has
Yeah.
the memory loss, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of looks dazed
Yeah.
and a little out of it,
Stoned.
but also like he could kill you in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Like,
Super grizzled, like, but
oh
very
my God.
strong, like, scarred, and I love his hair. Like, he looked damn good. Like, I'm thinking, so this will give you a sneak peek of how he might look when he gets older. You're like, "Yeah, that's alright. I could live with that."
Oh
I
man.
know.
Like,
And I like the joke they made about him dyeing his hair. That was cute too, where the girl says, "I don't ever dye my hair." He goes, "No, of course not." Well, maybe, okay, maybe what. I thought that was very cute also. That was very so there was a lot of meta. Like, I feel like when they showed him and he comes in, he goes, "Who am I?" Like his
yeah.
first initial way. And you feel like that's sort of in a way him speaking to us as an actor and also as a character, because the whole time is like he's changing so many characters, he's becoming so many different people in the film to get his his political means, taken care of, that he doesn't really, who am I? Like, what am I?
Yeah.
So I love that they kept kind of repeating that message. It was really interesting. I like that little
Right.
weirdness. That was good.
Well, and it is a reinvention this year. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that Shah Rukh never had an action scene in his movies, but
Yeah.
like the
Oh.
ladies that you talked to at your
Mhm.
theater in
Yeah.
Kentucky, what he is known for, what he had kind of been in this box, put in this box that you are the Shah Rukh romantic hero. Okay,
Right.
well then it's getting a little awkward when you're in romantic films with much younger co-stars.
Yeah.
It's starting to get awkward, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And they joke about that, right?
Yeah.
So, but yet not quite ready to play daddy roles, I guess, right?
I don't think
So
he is anyway. He's not daddy material yet. I don't think.
yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
I
know.
thought he was awfully cute with that little girl.
He
Like
was
so
very cute with the little girl.
they play with that by okay, he
Yeah.
he's gonna have this little stepchild. I
Yeah.
mean, Rajnikanth Jailer played a grandpa. I was all about that. Like
He
a
definitely looked like a
badass
grandpa.
who's also super cute and doing the little kids YouTube videos. All about it.
Yeah, but he's no SRK right now. SRK has got a few more years in left. Like when I was talking to those women, I was like, SRK is so yummy, and they're like, oh, I know he's right. Like, everybody's like, oh, yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying,
Everybody could agree on that.
if he went silver,
Yeah,
all
he's
the
still look
time,
amazing.
I totally fine with that.
Totally fine with that.
But he definitely, here he is in this movie playing opposite himself, and besides the hair and the whole
Yeah.
getup, he is.
Yeah.
You just immediately know this is a completely different person.
So good.
Oh, I was also shocked, stunned. I think some of my viewers maybe had seen more interviews or had heard background and kind of knew it was coming. Having seen Atlee's films like Biggle that he did with Vijay, where Vijay played a son and a father, I should have maybe expected it because Atlee was essentially, I felt like in the way he was doing kind of a greatest hits of a lot of the things that he has done in his previous blockbuster Tamil movies. But I loved all of it. Now, I was worried, like I reacted to it because I watch a lot of Tamil films and all the kind of fan service, the huge dance numbers with the million extras and all of that. Like I ate it up with a spoon. Everything was awesome. But I think it did feel, when some of those song videos came out, I think some of the Northern Indian audience was like, what is this? This is not a Shah Rukh Khan. This is what?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Because it feels like a Tamil film.
It does.
Well, on purpose. It's a Tamil director, right?
That's right.
I mean, it was an interesting blend of Bollywood. Like, here's all the money that we can throw at a movie for all of these action sequences, right?
Yeah.
And also some Tamil sensibility in the way that some of those dance numbers were done, especially not the romantic ones so much. I'm saying the big ones with the big crowds of extras and all of that. And just, I don't know, some, like I said, the social, political messages, and there were multiple things. It's like, okay, now we're going to talk about farmer suicide. Okay, now we're going to talk about corrupt politicians. Okay, now like
pretty intense.
It was one after another of these political issues that were brought up that some of which have been touched on in past Atlee films. But anyway, I thought it was a great partnership. It was one I was excited about from the minute that it was announced that they were going to work together. I'm like, yes, this will be fresh. This will be new. This will be something we haven't seen from Shah Rukh.
That's right.
60th film. I did see some new things I've never seen before.
Oh my! And this was basically a Robin Hood film. Like it was basically like stealing from rich, giving to the poor was the whole message the whole time. It was about like, give the people who need the money. A bunch of you fat cats don't need all this money. He was always about transferring money to the accounts people needed. He wasn't doing it for himself. So you knew there was something bigger going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So that was a great twist on that because he took it to all these different levels each time. Like sometimes wasn't about money. It was always about like, management, or like you were saying, getting hospitals equipment or getting farmers, equipment, and not taking away their tractors when they need them. There's all that.
Yeah.
So I love that aspect of it too, because ultimately I think we all want that. And when you see someone actually bring it out and put it into a movie like that, you're like, why don't we have what's wrong with our system? I'm thinking
Right.
of it even in as it concerns America. It's like these are worldwide problems,
I
the haves
mean,
and the have not,
I'm all about just having a fun action movie,
which it
but
was.
it was an action movie with a message,
That's right,
and
see that.
that added another layer on top. I
It
don't
did.
know, like you summer saw, I don't know because there were so many different messages. I don't
Right.
know if each individual one had the weight and the impact on me as a viewer, if I
Mm,
felt as deeply about each one
right,
because there were so many, you know?
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that it had the same emotional heft to it,
Yeah.
but okay, it was quite a fun roller coaster ride.
It was real good. And let's talk about, like, it was full of women, full of great characters, women, female characters that he had surrounded himself with. They weren't romantic interests. Like, he had his great, "Are you ready, girls? Yes, chief." I
Yeah.
love that whole mantra. And I like they had these strong women. They were all super smart. They could have fallen back on, "He has a bunch of dudes in entourage, and they all do something," like Ocean's 11 or something.
Yeah.
But they made it more interesting and a lot more layered by putting in a bunch of women doing that. And I love the whole women's prison idea that, he comes in, even though he was a little bit of a man saving the day, he was still the warden. And he comes in,
Yeah.
he has them doing things, to improve the world. And also even just the women that he casts, his adversary who becomes a romantic interest, and then, his mother, Padika, is it Padika? Padika. Um,
Deepika, the
Deepika.
actress is Deepika, yeah.
Deepika, I'm saying it backwards. So even the way Deepika comes in and she like dominates the scenes, like I know you've always told me about like he's a super generous performer. Like he gives people around him room to like glow also and give off, steal a scene or something. It's not like he's like, it's all about me. He
Right.
lets people be in front of the camera with him and he kind of recedes and lets them do their thing, which I think is amazing. And so especially something like this, so big and full of action, he's so present in every scene almost. If it wasn't Vijay Sethupathi, it was Sethupathi. And so the fact that these women registered as real characters and had depth was amazing. He like had big
Yeah.
flashbacks that were great. I mean, just such a
I
fun.
mean, maybe I could have asked for a little bit more about Nayanthara, but
Yeah,
it was Shah Rukh's movie. Like,
right.
I mean, if you're going to quibble, yes, he had this whole gang of women, but again, there were so many of them. We didn't learn so much about each individual one,
We've got about
and
3 or
and
4.
and
Yeah.
um, and not just about the women, but sometimes I wish Vijay Sethupathi there was a little bit more to him. Like,
I wish there was
and
more of his character.
like in the beginning we have this whole thing where they purposely kidnap this weapons dealer's daughter.
Yeah.
They create a traffic jam so that she runs to the train,
Yeah.
and so she's on the train and she's part of the whole ransom thing, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Vijay Sethupath's character loves his daughter
Yeah.
and has this good relationship, and then we never see her again. Like then
That's
she's
right.
just done,
That's
right?
just
So
pretty.
there's
Yeah.
and so like as much as I loved all the fan service of Shah Rukh, I also love
Yeah.
Vijay Sethupathi and could have
Yeah.
wished for little more something something.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're gonna cast somebody like him in a movie, he has the chops, he has the presence and the star power to bring more to it. And they mostly just had him kind of pacing back and forth in front of boardrooms, talking about where he's going to get the
Yeah.
money,
I mean,
or
and
what
maybe
he's going to do.
my favorite scene was probably the one where he's like, in the jail and
I was going to say that that was my favorite scene too, because not
because
only did he
you
look
and I
good,
both know we're like, there he is,
that's
there's
like
our man.
I know all the hair and the beard. I'm like, come on, get rid of that. Like, why do you have all that on? So it was nice to see him like we're used to seeing him. And then after seeing that, you're like, oh, make him do more. I want more of that. But
Yeah,
that was
yeah, I
that was
know.
great too. But I mean, very solid supporting cast. It's pure SRK. I mean, it obviously they made the right choice because it's one of the biggest movies ever made. So so obviously
Yeah.
they did all right.
Did you catch that the director had a little cameo on one of the dance numbers?
I
Like
wondered if that was the director or
I
the
think it
choreographer.
was.
Okay,
Yeah,
it was
I
the
think it was
director.
him. I know I wondered if it was the choreographer, but I think it was the director.
Okay.
Which Rajamouli has done the same thing. So
I love it.
I'm all
Hitchcock. Hitchcock did it too. I love
so
seeing the
I'll say.
directors in their own movies. I love that. This is a little, and it was
Yeah.
also kind of dancing, so it was kind of out of the movie, but in the movie. So I thought that was a very cute little moment.
So Sanjay Dutt, who comes in at the end of the film with an interesting cameo. Had you ever seen any movie with him before? Or was that new for you?
Oh no, hell yes, I love Sanjay Dutt. I mean, he was in KGF too. I mean, he was like a
Oh, that's right.
Viking,
Sure.
badass as
Sure.
hell. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen him in a few things. He's amazing. Love him. Love, love, love.
So and because we watched Malayalam films, the fact that he was all dressed to go to an Onam, which is the big holiday right now in Kerala, and he was just like, I gotta get out of here. It's Onam.
Like, I got shit to do. I gotta go. I'd love to. It's like my wife is Malayalam and I need to be back for lunch. I love that scene. And then you're like, well, and yeah, that was great too. That was the other twist, like the whole ending scene. Like, I love when movies they show your movie, and that'd be a good movie. And all the twists, all stuff, and then they give you that last totally turn this thing upside down moment.
Put a
You gotta
cherry
like
on the top
say,
of it. We're good.
that was, and they show you how it all happened and how they were all in cahoots. It was so good. Oh my god, I love that. And then I get all like, what? And it's like that's where I'm always not underestimating, but because we're raised on American films, we have the formula. You have the twist about in the middle, then you have one more at the end, and maybe because of Marvel, you have a post-credit ending. So, and then, but Indian films, they start insane. They're this action. Then they give you the funny little comedy interval, and then they give you the music, and they give you more twists,
and
twists.
They give,
and then
they
you
give
think,
you the flashback,
okay, we're done.
And you cry, and then
then you crying at some point, and then they have some crazy, insane, flip it around thing that I'm like, oh my god, these movies are so good. It's like, they make American films seem kind of lazy to me now. Like I watch American film, I'm like, oh, they're gonna have to do this now, and then they don't. And I'm like, Indian movie would have done that.
Yeah. I'm like, where's my half an hour flashback expansion everything? What?
Where's that last twist in the post-credit ending that makes it all undone and all upside down? That's what I want.
So I'm thinking about your mom being in this theater, and that this is her first Shah Rukh Khan, the first time that she's seeing him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, then she wanted to hear the songs. We played the Spotify in the car.
I love
weekend. We played those songs, and she was all trying to sing them. And I'm like, you don't even have to know the lyrics to appreciate these songs. No. And then, of course, I played the Deva Deva song for Brahmastra because it's one of my most absolute favorites. I said, I know you love this. You got to hear Arjit. He's so blow away to me. I love his voice. Anything he does is just magical. So I had to play one of those. But yeah, we were listening to basically Jawan all weekend.
I love it.
So, cooking dinner, put on Jawan. I'm like, okay.
I mean, that shows these films can have a universal appeal. Yeah. They're not really advertised in the US to a non-Indian audience. I mean, I was at my theater before the movie began. I got 2 different ads with Shah Rukh and Amitabh Bachchan doing some kind of Everest, like food spice kind of ad. And that was delightful because they've been in, we watched Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham where they played father and son. And so it was fun to see them. I'm like, how much money did this food company spend to get both of them in this?
Seriously.
And I guess it's a whole series of fun little ads, right? I saw 2 of them before my movie, but then sometimes I don't get any trailers before an Indian movie. It just starts.
Yeah, we didn't get any trailers.
I did get quite a few, big trailers, and I think I got the Salar trailer for Prabhas, but it's interesting. Like they're never marketed. If you think about kind of the Oscar foreign language film, things that are going up for a foreign language Oscar, we might, again, if you're seeing an art film, you're going to get every other trailer. If you're sitting there for every other art film, every other, Oscar season movie.
That's right.
But we don't ever, when you think about, RRR just kind of came from nowhere, from people watching on Netflix and then came back to the theaters.
Yeah.
They're still not even trying to reach out to a non-Indian audience. And I think anybody would enjoy a film like this. Totally. I mean, and it is a different sensibility, but look at what your mom, she'd never seen anything like this. She'd seen RRR, but still she'd never seen Shah Rukh, and she loved it.
Yeah, and she'd never seen an indie movie for RRR either. And that's one thing that she said, I really liked RRR to our 2 new friends that we made at the movie theater. And they went, what? Like, I think they, they're not expecting also, they probably thought only Indian people would appreciate an Indian film in Kentucky. I would thought that too. I mean, so I didn't see anyone else there though that was, but I asked like people like at her office, they said, oh, you're going to a movie, we're going to go see him. We're like, Jawan. They're like, what's that? I'm like, it's in your movie theaters, people. So I tried to sell it to people saying the crazy new Indian film is really great, blah, blah, blah. They'll never go, but I tried.
Right, but they might watch it I think Netflix was the streaming partner, if I remember from the beginning. So
maybe
you never know. You
that's
never
not
know
great.
that the world impact people.
Right.
People are willing to try things on streaming. You're already
Right.
paying for the subscription. You might as
Yeah.
well,
Just check
right?
this out. Yeah, especially if they put it up front, make it a big deal. They're like, "That looks fun. He's
Right.
cute."
Yeah. I mean, how many of my Netflix queue is kind of skewed. It's not like
Yeah, mine
anybody
is
else.
too.
The things that are recommended to me are not exactly the same as other people's.
I know. We should take a picture of like when we turn on Netflix, what do you see? And it's usually a lot of Indian movies now. Chad's like, "What is happening?" That and One Piece because we're watching One Piece. So now I'm getting a lot of One Piece and Indian films.
I know you did a reaction to One Piece, and my son came over and watched a couple of. It was like in the middle, I don't know, episode 4 or 5 or something like that. But we watched a couple of them together.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I did get a
So
little
good.
bit of that too. And I'm like, you know, American audiences, that's originally a Japanese anime,
That's right.
right? Like the original web series had, I don't know, he was telling me how it had been condensed for the
Yeah.
Netflix series from all the different episodes. They condensed it down a little bit. And but yeah, how many young people they seek out anime and things like that that are definitely, those aren't American made either, so why not? Right?
Exactly. I mean, entertainment can be found anywhere. And so I'm like, I like to see a lot of international films because you see fresh takes on things that you think you know everything about. And so it's nice to see, like, yeah, we've all seen Tom Cruise. Hey, let's take a look at SRK. And he kicked Tom Cruise's ass any day of the week when you see those films.
Oh, man.
Any day.
And he'll light his cigar. Oh my God. Like I said,
pops his mouth and spits it back out. How the hell do you do that?
Man.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh
man.
Well, as you can tell, it's a bit of a rave review.
Like there's jokes that Shah Rukh could like romance a cow or anything,
right,
like,
oh, okay. Yeah.
And I feel like there just wasn't. This was an action film. It was not a film where we were going to spend 2 of the 3 hours on developing a romance, right? Mm-hmm. So the ladies in your theater were a little disappointed. Boy, that was awfully blood. I was okay with that, but yet I felt like, okay, they gave all this time to Deepika, and I loved every minute of it, but I didn't really feel it was like, okay, there's this arranged marriage. Like you say, it's like she's his antagonist, so then we're going to put them together, and that's going to be the tension. Okay, but I didn't really feel a lot there, right? I mean, the love songs were lovely. His relationship with the little girl, loved every second.
She was great.
Every second of that.
It's so good. And I don't like kids in movies, so that's a big one for me, that she was actually a cool kid. She was very, very mature.
She was a pistol. The dye your hair, that's gonna go down like a legend.
So good.
So and also just that Vijay Sethupathi again was his character underwritten a little bit? Could there have been a little bit more there?
Yeah.
But it's already almost a 3-hour movie. So they kind of left it open at the very ending.
They did.
That there could be a sequel. In fact, there may be one already on the books and I don't even know. So am I going to be first day for show? Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, I love this new Shah Rukh, era of reinventing himself, becoming an action star. Same thing is happening in Hollywood. I mean, with Harrison Ford, he's 80 years old. He's back.
Right? So good.
But also looking forward to, I'm assuming he'll have a cameo in the third Tiger movie that will come out this fall. Yeah. And then he's got a third, leading role film in, I think it's December, where it's called Donkey. And one of my viewers was explaining to me that there's not really the sound to make donkey. It's more that, but it's the same word for like a burro or a donkey. So literally it means it's somebody trying to kind of traffic somebody to the U.S.
Okay.
Right. Right. The same way, we would talk about that, like a burro or whatever, crossing over from Mexico, but it's going to be some kind of a storyline about that. So it's not going to, I don't think it's going to be a big action movie. I think it's going to be, a different feeling kind of a movie based on the director. So
I loved the teaser for that.
Because there would be something. I mean, if it I'm hoping it comes out a few days before Christmas because I have a week-long Christmas vacation. I'm like, no! It'll be my luck. It'll be playing in Mexico, and then it'll be Spanish subtitles, and I'll be screwed.
Yeah. And you'll be like, I'm just gonna figure it out. I know. I love the teaser they did with Raj Kumar and him looking at the posters of his other movies, and he's like, "So, do you have any movies going on?" And that when I first saw that teaser, I didn't really know who SRK was. I'm like, "Oh, who's this cute guy?" I don't know if I've seen him in anything yet. So it's funny to know now what a huge star he was in this little promo. I was like, "Okay, now I get it. I get why it was like kind of like, why are you not casting me in your movies?" Now it makes more sense. Okay. So
But I mean,
anyway.
yeah. What about you? Did you have anything that you had issue with or didn't like?
Same things you did. I thought VJ should have been in it more, as not just in the wigs as the sort of like $1 million kind of Austin Powers villain.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like you said underwritten, but as a foil, to against which is his purely his function. I think they could have gotten a lesser actor and done the same thing, but that's why I think I felt a little let down because he's such a good actor. I'm like, that's it. That's all you got?
All right,
Okay.
all right. I mean,
But
like, and
other than that,
he's been so amazing as villains in other films,
so good.
and he can bring the crazy. He can bring the menace.
Yeah.
And could I have wished for a little bit more? Yeah, but
But we got Sanjay Dutt, who I think actually he was an even less, but made more of an impression because they let him have a lot of fun stuff to do. He had some great lines, some memorable stuff. They put him in cool locations. I don't know. I feel like he elevated his character, whereas I feel like VJ got kind of buried under a lot of hair and beard and mostly just dark rooms talking to other rich people.
Well, this is one reason why I'm going to actually go back to see the film in Tamil. And what I've heard is, for instance, I'm not sure if you've seen, there's this character actor is frequently supporting, his name is Yogi Babu. He has the crazy hair. Okay, so he is supposedly in the Tamil version of Jawan.
What?
Right. So I'm like, there's scenes then that are going to be different. And I'm also wondering if Vijay Sethupathi trying to dub for himself in Hindi, will it have a different feel when he's speaking in his own Tamil?
Yes,
and that is what I am also wondering, if some of those, like my husband is like, that's crazy. Why would they do the movie in different languages? So I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, let me tell you.
Okay, let's explain this. They do this all the time where they just shoot in 2 different languages at the same time. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy. It's hard to explain to outsiders. Why would you do that? But I'm really curious what different feel some things will have. And also the subtitles are by a different person. Rakes, who's one of my favorites.
I love that.
So I'm interested if she will bring some extra flavor and humor because she really makes you in on the joke. And so maybe there were some things that just went over our heads in English subtitles that didn't carry the punch or I don't know. You know what I mean? Sometimes you wonder. And so I'm just, I think Vijay did a great job in Hindi.
Yeah, he did.
But will he not have been trying to do that math in his head of doing it in Hindi, and just when he's more natural, will have a different feel, some of those scenes. That's what I'm going to be curious about.
Oh, look forward to hearing that review. So here we are. This was basically our pretty in-depth review of Jawan. We have another one coming in Tamil. Melanie's going to do, apparently. If I can find it in Tamil, I will look forward and see if it makes a difference. In the meantime, make sure you visit Pardesi Reviews. I say Pardesi Reviews.
Yeah.
And check out her reviews. They're amazing. You'll see me over there and you'll see her over here. And we're visiting everywhere. So let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, because we love hearing what you guys have to say. I know a lot of people seen this movie. So love to hear your own reviews. If you want to post comments.
Now that we're talking spoilers, I would love everybody to comment what was your favorite part.
And yes, please.
I would say my favorite was the reveal of the father right before the interval. Yep. Right? That was epic.
I was like, what? Screaming. Like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Yeah, that was amazing. I love that. It was great. Great. All right. Let us know if you agree. Bye.